was just another 40k release, just another fun game. But then everything went wrong. And then some of it right. Are we happy now? Are we? Some say it's criminally underrated. Others say it's shallow.
Darktide's a game that I initially loved. I put in like 100 hours in that game. We played it, and the problem is it was kind of shallow.
So which is it? Would you say today's world is depressing? With all the problems we face, more and more seem to pop up. And somehow TikTok taught half the world that being dumb is an actual career. Have no fear, compadres. There's a universe compared to which our troubles are just pure bliss. Wanna see a hive city? Wanna see what it's like to be inside? Wanna feel what it's like to shoot a bolter? Did Fat Shark nail it? And all of it just runs great and works perfectly, right?
Bruh.
Damn. I am a veteran of Astartes by now. I've been through the introduction of the absolute difficulty, the pre-buffed weapons, the first weekly sweaty gems, and I've seen them all. Yes, Saber, please, make the parry windows even tighter. The game is still fun. I consider Space Marine 2 to be one of the best games of 2024, along with Black Myth Wukong, which is my number one. But there's a lot more to the 40k universe than towering sons of the 9 loyal Primarchs. You can give your life in the service to the Emperor in so many other ways. Remember that annoying Majoris enemy that you sometimes wipe tens off? Here, it's a boss, and that makes sense. It even flails less. Play Darktide, they told me in the comments. It'll be fun, they told me.
Are you sure about that?
I wish I could. I bought the game, I played it a few times. And then I got the infamous connection bug.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
That was it for me. Nothing helped. Back it up, boys. But then I was told it was finally fixed. So I eagerly jumped back in. Which is basically how I reconnect with society once a week. This is a look at Darktide from the perspective of a Space Marine 2 player. How close do they stick to the 40k lore? Is the combat good? Is Papa Nurgle represented right? Is that what you want, you sickos? I've looked into that and I've got good news. Open wide, like an astronaut getting a drink. I'm gonna tell you all about it. There are rumors of future content releases. I'll try not to get carried away with the subject. No promises though. I get carried away faster than an Algerine on a mobility scooter. The vast majority of living beings in the 40k universe will never encounter an Astartes in their lifetime. They're that rare. Usually employed somewhere in the fringes of the Imperium or deep within the boiling cauldrons of battles across the Milky Way galaxy. Our home, it has some problems, okay? We're due for some purging and burning. So what's different? Well, pretty much everything. To sum it up, if Space Marine 2 is an action game vaguely reminiscent of Mad Max, Darktide is a clone of a clone. Of Vermintide 2, which is a clone of Left 4 Dead, which is a very nice and welcome change of pace. If you're getting bored with the Space Marine 2 gaming loop, you'll most likely find Darktide's mechanics refreshing and fun. And just like Saber's creation, this one is not bug-free. It has its, let's call them, quirks. Now, Vermintide 2 is a beloved game, universally praised by critics and players alike. It's polished, every mechanic is well thought out, and it's also bug-free unlike my apartment. It's set in the universe of Warhammer, without all the Ks. So, coming from such a refined game and making a reskin of their success for a 40k setting sounds like a recipe for triumph, right? Makes sense, right? Its launch gave people heavy Battlefield 4 flashbacks. And for those unaware, that's not a pleasant flashback. It hurt. Like stepping on a piece of Lego, but $60 worse. We could quote Satoru Iwata again, but unfortunately, very unfortunately, things have changed. Games became more expensive, and people are forced to hope that their $80 investment will eventually become playable. It's like buying a lottery ticket, except you're betting on your sanity. And Battlefield 4 turned out to be the last good Battlefield in a contemporary setting. Seems like it's no longer the case, but we'll see once all the hype dies down. With Darktide it was an unpleasant surprise of the same caliber. People encountered a plethora of bugs and crashes, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's still not entirely bug-free 2 years later. Although they're not game-breaking anymore, and fortunately very rare, at least in my case. I myself was locked out from playing it for almost a year, but when it works, it's kinda glorious. The Hive City of Tertium is generously dripping with atmosphere. My highest compliments go out to the art department of Fat Shark. This is gorgeous. The attention to detail is incredibly important for a 40k game. You get to see what life is like on the lowest levels, the gloomy, polluted slums cranked up to 11, as well as the more posh upper levels that even get to see a tiny shred of actual sunlight. You even get to step outside in the Tertium outskirts, in an abandoned naval port. There used to be seas on this planet, now it's just salt and heresy. Mobian Domain had a bad draw of being close to the Cicatrix Maledictum, which is a galaxy-splitting warp rift for those uninitiated. Kinda like having an apartment floor above a BDSM techno nightclub. And the patrons like to keep the party going at your place. My imagination immediately ran wild with a level set in one of the spires where the elite of the elite reside. But as of yet, it's not in the game. Just like my dreams of owning a Porsche. Just imagine seeing the clouds covering Atoma Prime and another spire towering over the sea of vapor. Oh well, a man can dream. Like me thinking my fridge will magically restock itself. Our enemy is Chaos. This time it's the irrevocably turned followers of the Plague Lord, the one and only Papa Nurgle. Our mission is absolutely critical. The production of the unique Mobian steel is in jeopardy. There are two distinct factions here, Scabs and Drags. Now, when I say distinct, I mean completely indistinguishable, like all the different flavors of soy sauce. And that unfortunately translates into gameplay inconveniences. Joe from Joe Plays Games made a very convincing argument about this. Visually, their designs are fantastic. They look very chaos, very much touched by Nurgle's foul presence. The crudely slapped together armor, the ragged clothes, the improvements that are completely form over function are awesome. This reminds me of my high school art project. As far as looks go, I've got nothing but praise. Now, game design wise, it's less perfect. The weapons. Now this part is crucial. They absolutely must look lore accurate, feel lore accurate, and be effective, satisfying, and varied. They have to be easily understood, like my brother explaining what he does for a living. And being kind of a gun nut, I have to report that Fat Shark nailed it. Nailed it better than me trying to hang a shelf. The sound, the impact, the detail, the animations, the customization, it's all here. And what's even better, it sticks close to the lore. Each ranged and melee weapon is unique and satisfying. What I love especially is that many weapons are viable. You don't see everyone running the meta build, you see weapons of choice. Except maybe melee. This is where Space Marine 2 dropped the ball pretty hard. Melters are wrong. On top of some perks not working, the bolters were done dirty. Not terrible, but underwhelming. Underwhelming like putting on socks and realizing one is wet. And bolters cannot be underwhelming. Firing a bolter in Space Marine 2 wipes the smile off your face. Like when you realize you're the only one laughing at your joke. Doing the same in Darktide makes you grin like an idiot.
Bam! Bam! Bam!
We're all rejects, the condemned who are lucky enough to get a chance for redemption, the even more disposable units to throw against all odds and the endless mass of enemies of the Imperium. Basically like me at family gatherings. And who are these enemies, you ask? Why, they're one of our very own regiments, the Mobian 6th.
Now that is irony!
Instead of perishing en masse as per usual, they were turned traitor. Happens to the best of us. No, I meant him.
Aww.
Led by Captain Wolfer, the Mobian 6 aims to take over Tertium and cut off the Mobian steel supply. Gameplay is a roller coaster. It's either absolutely amazing and an example of perfect synergy, or a pathetic, miserable experience where just everything goes wrong. Like me trying to wake up on a Monday morning. That depends on a lot of things. Your consistency and situational awareness may vary if you're not a pro player. The same goes for your teammates. You need to be quick about your callouts, shooting others' tags, and keeping up with your team's movement. And you might not always be as sharp as you were a few hours ago. But a game is really not that memorable if there isn't any frustration involved. Like running over a neighbor's kid while being late for work. The latest big update brought in a complete class overhaul. Judging by the complaints on the forums, the Arbites has suffered the most noticeable nerf. Nerf like my foam sword against a neighbor's actual baseball bat. I've seen posts saying that they paid for a premium experience, and that's what they expect from a paid class. So in other words, I paid to win. Oh yeah, the 5th class is sold separately, and given the fact that Darktide is almost constantly on sale, it costs almost as much as the game itself. There are even more clumsy attempts at monetization within the game. There are cosmetics that are so expensive they'll give you Valorant flashbacks.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Flashbacks like remembering that one time you texted your ex at 2 AM. Do I wanna know? No, I don't. Well, since I've started ranting, I ain't stopping. Weapon progression reminds me of Mechanicus in the sense that it's not explained so well. There is a bunch of stats, blessings, perks, overall value, and yada yada yada. To save you some time, it works like this. Every weapon has 500 points spread into percentages for its stats. All that other nonsense below can be rerolled. Not this. Don't look at the current numbers, you can max them out later. Now the number on the right tells you what the cap on that stat is. Each weapon has a dump stat, the one that you don't need. For my beloved M35 Magna Core, that name sounds so good, plasma gun, it's the charge time, because never use charge shot. Ever. So you keep buying random weapons here until you see a 60 in the dump stat. That means all the others are at max. Now you can buff its rarity, reroll its blessings, and you get the picture. Your only reliable-ish way of picking out elites is the sound. Why ish? Because it usually gives you a generously timed warning of a priority threat incoming, but other times the warning comes along with a deadly attack already in progress. Warning like my wife yelling "dinner's ready" 2 seconds after I stuffed my face with sweets. This feels like unavoidable, unfair damage. Although there are like these true pro players who deal with all the threats no matter how little warning they get. There are rumors going around that Darktide might be getting a whole new enemy faction, and that one will be very easy to distinguish from the rest, like spotting the one drunk guy on the dance floor. And I gotta say, it sounds too good to be true. I mean, I'd be over the moon singing praise to Fetchark from every corner if it turns out to be valid. This foul faction is the best lore-wise in my opinion. It fits the whole lower levels of the Hive City setting so perfectly. I'm sure you guessed what I'm talking about, or most likely heard the gossip. I'm talking of Gene Stealers, of course. If they ever make it to Darktide, oh boy. That difference in player count will tip away from Space Marine 2 the same day. It could be a Sister of Battle, or a Tech Priest, or a Skitari, or a Death Cult Assassin, or maybe even an Eldari Rogue. The latest word is that it's probably gonna be a gang member. Now all of this sounds incredibly cool, however I can't help but agree with Jefficus and Joe that they might be redundant in terms of actual combat role, because Arbites is already a mixture of veteran and Ogrin. Your options are basically tank, crowd control, melee DPS or ranged DPS. And those are already pretty much covered due to the variations that are already built into each class. So it would seem that all new characters will be very difficult to balance while keeping them special. Oh no, it's the Beast of Nurgle. It might just fall into the cosmetic category. On higher difficulties the combat part becomes just the whole match. And that is where you'll meet all those elite tier players mentioned above. Now in itself it's not a bad thing, you really need them there. If you choose to play on Havoc, which is Darktide's special endgame mode, you better be ready for the ultimate challenge. My slight concern with it is that it can be really chaotic. But when you and your buddies are in the zone, it can also be glorious. And I mean truly glorious. Like discovering the food you ordered is actually fresh. Yes, yes it is. In a way, it's even more Warhammer than Space Marine 2. Before you report me to the Inquisition, let me tell you this. The poster boys of 40k are an easy sell for those uninitiated, but for people who already immersed themselves in the lore and read a few books, it can be more exciting to be in the shoes of one of those rejects. If you'd be unlucky enough to be born into the 41st millennium, there's a chance you could become one of them, and the Hive City is such a cool setting. It's this Blade Runner, Judge Dredd, Akira, Ghost in a Shell, hell maybe even Nier Automata and Brazil setting. And they're all meshed together in this dystopian salad. This mixture of retrofuturism and gothic dread and miserable hopelessness with macabre cruelty is the perfect recipe. I kept thinking Gregor Eisenhorn and Elizabeth Bequin could have walked these streets. The details are there, and the vibe is pretty much perfect. Space Marine 2 is a gorgeous, dynamic game and I love it to death, but Darktide is such a nice change of pace in more ways than the gameplay loop. If you're a 40k fan, you shouldn't hesitate. The price of admission is very reasonable, more reasonable than a gas station hot dog. Another thing that's worth mentioning is how well acted and written the banter is. It accounts for your choice of homeworld and your background. And the Ogren dialogues are just so wholesome. I cannot say enough good things about these back and forths.
I am glad to do so. Simple kindness costs nothing.
Eh? Then I will try to. I'm already very sinful, so Boros says.
Your heart is in the right place already.
It's also to engage.
But enough praise, let's get back to griping. The game has bugs. It's not like mosquitoes in the swamp, but I couldn't play it for months. I've honestly given up hope. If it weren't for that wonderful commenter under my Space Marine 2 video, I wouldn't even bother trying. Thank you, shout out. Some textures glitch. Characters clip through the elevator floor. The cool looking train ride is ruined by player models spazzing out. People get disconnected and the game can crash occasionally, as if it's going outside and remembers it's a vampire. Sometimes the most basic things seem to be completely broken, like bursters and poxhounds jumping on you with zero warning as if they're in-laws showing up at your apartment unannounced. Same goes for the trappers and mutants. One other thing that Darktide has in common with Space Marine 2 is bad players. It's actually kind of funny. People stay close to their team and everything goes smoothly, and then they rush away somewhere and immediately get smashed like dreams of ever losing weight. Other players notice, of course, and they do their best to reach them in time and get them up, sometimes sacrificing most of their HP in the process. That teaches those rushers nothing. They cannot see the correlation between playing as a squad and staying alive. Better chance of explaining basic math to a rhino. It's not as bad as Space Marine 2 though. In Saber's game, the higher the difficulty, the more it's expected of you to carry people who have no business playing on hard anyway. Here, it's kinda the other way around. Well, mostly. But seriously, the tougher the challenge, the better the players. They're helpful, they know what they're doing, and they really know what their role in the team is.
I got you, my bad, I thought he was helping.
Playing Havoc missions is less of a frustrating experience than a Heresy run. Yeah, you're all sweating, but at least your teammates actually shower. Another thing I have to mention is the RBT's DLC. A 40k version of Dread is absolutely perfect for a Hive City setting, and the voice actors are channeling their inner judges with zero restraint, which is downright fantastic. But $11 feel a little steep, like climbing stairs after leg day. People stuck with Darktide through thick and thin, and a very bumpy release. And call me crazy, but I feel like they deserved a treat. And in the time frame it took Fat Shark to introduce one new enemy into Darktide, they managed to push out a whole new faction for Vermintide too. Yeah, enough said. And reading those butthurt reviews post-nerf is kinda hilarious. They took my pay to win. Good. Good, you deserve that. Speaking of Krieg, this cosmetic pack is very disappointing. Death Core of Krieg is so special in so many ways. Their presence in the squad should have been an immediate effect on the whole quartet. Can you imagine seeing one of these guys and just going on about your business? Yeah, I mean Sisters of Battle cosmetic pack for the Zealot would make less of an impact. Now in my personal experience it only crashed twice in tens of hours, and once I got disconnected mid-match. But what's great is that I always was able to jump right back in and finish our run on both occasions. Kudos Fat Shark. But man, this feels like cheering when you didn't burn a toast. The bug fixes are sparse, but they do keep coming. New content, although rare, also keeps getting released, and on top of that an occasional community event might pop up, like my brother pretending he's vegan and into yoga now. So praise where it's due, they keep fixing things, and hopefully someday Darktide will be worthy of Vermintide's spotless reputation. Here's hoping. And I don't think my hopes are misplaced. I mean, it's not like I ever was wrong before, like me saying it's easy to assemble IKEA furniture without crying. Darktide isn't perfect. In a few aspects it's a step back from Vermintide too. Step back like realizing I forgot my wallet on the roof of the car. But it has so much going for it. It's gorgeous, it gets 40k right, it has a solid gameplay loop and fun mechanics, and most importantly for a multiplayer game it still has a loyal player base. A loyal like a weirdo following you into the bathroom. It's up to Fat Shark to keep the community thriving and quench their thirst. It has problems, there are quite a few of them, but the vibrant atmosphere and just the amount of love poured into Darktide cannot be denied. Largely thanks to the dwindling attention of today's audience that's ready to move on to the next new thing to consume, most games are doomed to slowly die down. I'm proud of the 40k fans. Their dedication is miles ahead of the proverbial PUBG or COD player. They're here for a reason. And you gotta respect those reasons. Games Workshop may not be perfect, and lore-wise they keep fumbling it hard as of late. But at the same time, whoever is responsible for managing their investments into game development has really turned the ship around, from horrible mobile slop to the pieces of media that really do the universe justice it so rightly deserves. It's sometimes harder than returning a shopping cart in a hurricane, and yet they did. Nothing is perfect, and game development is complicated. I'm willing to cut Fat Shark some slack. Darktide is flawed but wonderful. If any of those gin stealer rumors are true, that means there has never been a better time to jump into Darktide. It's on sale very often, and compared to most AAA releases, it offers a lot more. I like Doom the Dark Ages, and I had fun in it, but looking at the time I've spent in it compared to Darktide, like that gym membership you haven't used since getting it. With Darktide it's pretty much a guarantee. If you're a 40k fan, you're gonna love it.